All right, everyone, welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends at PrizePicks and Game Time. I should probably throw Karma Sushi in there too today, Barth.
Absolutely.
We got a wonderful spread down there at Gillette. Shout out to Patriots PR. Shout out to Karma Sushi for lunch today. A couple locations in the area, so make sure if you guys are craving some sushi this holiday season, go check them out. But it is Brian Hines back as always with Alex Barth. We are in week 17 of the NFL season. We are almost at the end. What do we have? 3 shows left after this one of in-season shows, and then we're
well, really just 2 because we'll have 2 next week, and then I guess I don't know how much of a Bills recap we'll do the Monday after the game. That may be more of a welcome to the offseason kind of show. We'll see depending on how that game goes.
Yeah, especially with now looks like Buffalo could be resting their starters in Week 18 because the Chiefs wrapped up.
Don't count on the Bills being smart.
So I did look back because they were the 2 seed last year. So I did go back and look, how they approached Week 18, but it was a situation where they actually needed to win. I think the AFC was weird last year, and the Bills were like 11-6, or they weren't as good this year. So it was a situation where I think they needed to win to get in, and then they needed to win to get the number 2 seed. So long story short, you couldn't read anything into what happened last year, but you never know how the Bills will kind of approach that and how the backups will look, and if the Patriots can even beat the Bills backups is a whole nother story. But
right.
That obviously has a big impact on the draft position, and I kind of wanted to start posing that question to you. We are 2 weeks left, 2 games left. Chargers we'll talk about, and then that Bills game. Patriots currently 2nd pick in the NFL draft. I don't think they can fall further than 9th. It's tough this year. There's a lot of bad football teams, a lot of 3-4 win football teams, so they can't really drop out of the top 10. If they lose one of these games, they can't drop out of the top 5. So that's kind of the range we're looking at here. Now that, even the number 2 pick or that top 5 pick is so close to us, and I know the players and the coaches, you gave this kind of spiel many times. They're not tanking.
Yeah.
They are going out there trying to win these games. But you personally, now that we're so close to, that number 2 overall pick or that top 5 pick, has that altered your thought process at all here of how you want to see these last 2 games kind of unfold, of let's just lock this number 2 pick in and lose out, or maybe still win one of these games and that can kind of springboard you into the offseason the next year?
I still think positive momentum is important. Now, if you lose, you get the draft pick, and that obviously is better from the outside looking in, but you want these guys feeling like they're building towards something, and you need something to sell to free agents or potential trade candidates. And what's the difference between a 4-win team and a 3-win team? Maybe not much, but I think there is a stigma with having like a top 3 pick, having what might end up being tied for the worst record in the league, things like that. So look, you're obviously rooting for draft position. I don't think it's as important as it was last year. Trust me, that whole Jets game, all I was thinking about was Drake May when that game was close late. There's definitely a benefit to picking higher this year. I don't think it's as strong, especially in a draft that we've talked about. It probably makes sense for them if they stay where they are to trade down. Maybe you miss out on an extra 2nd round pick, which is not nothing, but is also it's not Drake May either. So off-season wise, yeah, it'd be losing definitely helps, but I'm not going to sit here and say like they have to lose these games. I don't think that's true, especially because odds are they're not going to win both of them. They're not going to fall that far. I've seen some people like worried, now the Bills are the 2 seed and that's horrible for the Patriots. No, we're really on the margins here. Yeah, obviously like losing is probably better for the offseason, but I don't think it's like if they win, and I even said this last year, I don't think it's if they win, that's it, they're done. Like if they believe their guy's sitting there at the top of the board and they have to move up a spot or 2 to get them, do it. They're not falling into the 20s. So.
Yeah, it's not a catastrophic fall, especially if it's such a difference when you have the quarterback compared to last year, when you did need that quarterback in if you win that Jets game, you're falling from like 3 to 6, which is where like the Giants finished. Now they have to go get Malik Neighbors, and now they're back in the quarterback market. So you have the quarterback, and I know coming into the year, my whole thing, and I'm pretty sure you were on the same page, was like, okay, you have the quarterback. Let's try to win as many of these games as possible. Get,
Right.
you want, and I think this was a big Felger thing. Like, you don't want losing to become the rip,
Habitual.
or you be ingrained to losing. You want to win, but now it is tough. You're right there. You're 2 losses away from the number 2 pick, and maybe what could be a 2 quarterback draft, and you have to move back and maybe pick up a future first, second round pick, whatever. But I do think you can kind of look at it both ways. So it will be interesting to see. Again, I don't expect them to win both of these games and maybe drop back to 8, 9, 10.
Right.
Area, but
If they do, they're in better shape than we thought they were. And that pick
they
isn't
win
as
both.
consequential. If they win both, yeah.
Yeah. Or you just catch a West Coast, East Coast Chargers team, and then the Bills backups in Week 18, and you're not as good as
I mean, the Chargers are a talented team. Yeah, it's a West Coast team coming east, but like, has that been the kind of game this team wins? No, it hasn't. So it means they're a different kind of team than we think.
True. And I still, even if it is the Bills backups in Week 18, like that's a game they could lose. It was basically the Bills backup defense last week, and now you're
Bills backup defense and Josh Allen playing terribly.
Yeah, and we said so much in that game, like they could have just ran the ball 30 to 40 times and probably put up 40 points, and they didn't. If you have Mitch Trubisky back there, who they almost lost to Mitch Trubisky in Pittsburgh last year, and they're handing it off to Ray Davis and Ty Johnson all game, like they could still probably put up a fight with their backups there. So that's kind of the how the draft order is looking right now. I know that's on a lot of people's minds. Again, Patriots currently sitting at number 2 pick, but the Chargers are coming to Foxborough this Saturday, 1:00, kicking off the football weekend there on Saturday in Gillette Stadium. It's been kind of a team and quarterback matchup that they've had a lot of success against. Justin Herbert slowing him down, and we get another one of these Drake May versus one of his popular comps in Justin Herbert. So kind of want to start on that defensive side of the football. We can talk about Drake May a little bit later. First of all, how many times are the Chargers going to run the ball at this game? Because they are the opposite of the Bills. They can run it, and they probably are going to want to run it all game long, and that is not a good recipe for the Patriots defense there.
No, it's not. They still can't stop the run for the growth they showed last week. That's still a major issue. And yeah, I'm with you. I'm surprised the Bills didn't come out and run 40 times. There's no need for them to put Josh Allen at risk. And look, he might have hurt his hand. So Harbaugh, his default is to run. It's going to be cold. They're on a short week. All of that. And that's the biggest deciding factor in this game, is just that the Chargers can run, and the Chargers will probably want to run a lot. The Bills can't stop it.
Yep. Looks like J.K. Dobbins might be up to back off IR. I know Gus Edwards is out, but they'll get their number 1 back. Dobbins, who was having a really good year too before he went on IR, and that kind of still seemed like a precautionary thing. Didn't seem like he had to sit out 4 weeks, so he should be ready to go. I know he's still questionable technically, but they could run the ball all game in this one, and move the ball and put up points there. But if they throw it, you knew we had to talk about him. Ladd McConkey, the infamous Ladd McConkey, the draft day trade, Jalen Polk, Ladd McConkey. He really makes that passing offense go. You watch the Chargers on TV, and it's like, oh, they're throw to Quentin Johnson, drop, throw to Joshua Palmer, and complete 15-yard gain on 3rd down to Ladd McConkey. That kind of makes it seem how the Chargers offense goes. So he's the top guy. Is this a Christian Gonzalez get kind of creative with him and put him on Ladd McConkey, do you think? Or, we saw John Jones play so well last week. Mike Pellegrino, talking to him today, also said Jonathan Jones, he was dealing with a couple injuries earlier in the year, and he's healthier now, and you saw that against Khalil Shakir, kind of a similar player as Ladd McConkey skill set-wise last week in Buffalo. So are you trusting Jonathan Jones in that matchup, or are you trying to maybe get creative a little bit and put Christian Gonzalez on, their top slot receiver?
I'd start with Jonathan Jones. I'd be ready to make the switch to Gonzalez if need be, but he's going to be able to totally take away Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnson, whoever Gonzalez is, I'm saying. So if Jonathan Jones can get his, and you do have a crafty veteran against a rookie, if Jonathan Jones can hold up probably with help over the top on Ladd McConkey, now you're talking about defense that's really in position not just to stop the Chargers passing game, but maybe create their own plays off of it. Again, this goes back to the point that I don't think the Chargers would throw much to begin with, but yeah, I'd give John Jones the first crack at Ladd McConkey.
Yep. It
Let
does
me just
feel
say this too while we're on McConkey. The Patriots should have drafted him over Polk. Look at the season. Do you think Ladd McConkey is putting up the numbers he's putting up in LA if he's here?
Do you mean Jalen Polk is putting up?
No, if Ladd McConkey was here.
Oh, if he's
instead
here,
of Jalen Polk.
Okay.
Is he putting up the numbers that Ladd McConkey's putting up?
He might, honestly, because he'd be the best receiver here. But it probably wouldn't be as.
I don't think so.
As good, but it would definitely be. He would be giving you a lot. It might not be Ladd McConkey levels, but it would be if Ladd McConkey's up here for those watching and Jalen Polk's down here. Like it would probably be somewhere in the middle. He'd probably be your most productive receiver.
He'd be better than Polk, absolutely. But because I've heard this talked about, and this week is a good time to bring it up. Let's not forget. It's not just that they're drafting the wrong guys. The development path for a lot of these young receivers here for years has been an issue. And Ladd McConkey, he's a much better player now than he was at Georgia. They did a great job of working on his game. And I don't know that they're going to get that done with Ladd McConkey. And as we look ahead to this offseason, if somebody wants them to take Tet McMillan, take Luther Burden, take Travis Hunter as a receiver, like that's something to keep in mind. We'll see if Tyler Hughes is back or if they have a new wide receivers coach. But, I said the same thing about N'Keal Harry in 19. Like if they had taken one of these other guys, they would have never figured out to use Debo the way the Niners did. They couldn't figure out Jonnu Smith. They would have never figured out using Debo the way the Niners did. So I'm not saying that makes N'Keal Harry the right pick. It doesn't. But you just have to factor that element into it. That the development plan is as much a factor of anything else that's going on here.
Yeah.
Also, if they were going to make a move for a receiver, it wasn't to stay there and pick Ladd McConkey. It was to move up and take Xavier Legette or just suck it up on the off-field stuff and take A.D. Mitchell.
Yeah. And that's going back to like the coaching and the development once they get in there. That's why maybe a veteran wide receiver coach could be in the cards this offseason if they make some of those staff changes. Yep. They have two more – Tyler Hughes, Tyquan Underwood, two young, inexperienced wide receiver coaches. And the other thing, just like Ladd Polk, would Ladd be doing what he does here? I think, like, and this could be even a bigger thing on how they evaluate the wide receiver position. Like, I think Ladd's just skill set translates. Like, you have those speedy separators.
Yeah.
Like, you look at the film and with Ladd in college, and he was hurt a lot. So like that was probably another thing that might have scared them off. Like he had some medical red flags, but you see like he's a separator. He can get open where Polk is more that play strength. And that's a question, like how does that play strength translate to the NFL when, it's older, bigger, stronger players. And that's not really obviously hasn't translated for Polk. So maybe that's something when their evaluation of the position, which going back to N'Keal, and even before that, has always seemed to be off a little bit. So maybe that makes them – I don't know if one whiff like that would really impact them. It could, but if that is something that, maybe they alter how they kind of look and evaluate the wide receiver position going into this draft.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And the other part of that Ladd McConkey trade we don't even talk about. Do you remember the second half?
Yeah, you're big on this. I'll let you take the victory lap on this because I know you're big on this.
And I was a big Ladd McConkey fan. I had him ranked higher than Polk, but it is kind of I get why that gets all the headlines, right? Because you traded out of that pick, and he's having such a good year at a position you can't develop and get any production from. But the second part of that trade, you moved up. I think it was like 110 you move up to, and you gave up like 137, something in that range. And you go get Javon Baker, and they move back, and they take a corner, Tarheeb Still, who is, last time I checked, third or fourth in defensive rookie of the year.
I actually looked this morning. He's third on most books.
He's third in defensive rookie of the year odds. He has a couple intercepts. He's developed. They've got two late round starters at corner of the Chargers. Cam Hart, Notre Dame, which I think that was a guy who was in some of our mock drafts last offseason. And then Tarheeb Still, a 5th-round pick that was, again, the Patriots pick, and they swapped those. So a couple interceptions. He has a couple pick sixes, I think. He's developed into a real, good starting corner for them. And that's another spot that we've kind of looked at this year and be like, if they could have someone reliable opposite of Christian Gonzalez, that would be big for them. And now that it's, Lad McConkey and Tarheeb Still, that would be almost the perfect mix and match for them right now.
Yeah, look, it's easy to go back and look at the draft in retrospect, but one team won that trade pretty clearly.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Well, I guess the trade itself was good process, just the player evaluation, bad. Very bad. But
yeah.
Yep. We'll maybe Lad McConkey.
I didn't even like the trade. They needed to be shedding picks. They had too many picks. They needed to be looking to move up. I didn't even love the trade.
That's true. In that scenario, I think value wise, it was a good trade. They got better. Moving down three spots in the second round to move up 40 spots later, it's probably good value. But for that team and what they needed, maybe they should have been a little bit more aggressive with some of those picks elsewhere. So maybe Lad's going to work into our PrizePicks lineup here in a little bit, because it would be so them for him to have a career 100.
Absolutely.
But we do like the matchups. If you have John Jones playing this well, it is similar, you feel, to that Buffalo game where they can put Christian Gonzalez on the boundary, let John Jones and maybe a safety help over top or a robber underneath cut off some of those, over routes that Lad McConkey really likes to run. So maybe they do have a good plan for him. They go in and just say, we need to shut this guy down so they can't talk about how big of a draft miss he was all week. We need to stop Lad McConkey. But then it comes back to the run game, and the Chargers can probably run the hell out of the football all game long because your run defense has been not great all year, and you saw that again. So anything else on the defensive side of the ball, or any other? I don't think we have any big injuries outside of Marcus Jones. He was ruled out again, but anything else you are looking for on defense there?
Just along the coverage matchups, it will be interesting to see what happens. Will Disley is – I had the injury report right here. 1 second. Will Disley's questionable for this game, if I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brian. Will Disley's questionable with shoulder injury. He's their second leading receiver behind McConkey. He hasn't done a ton, but like you kind of said off the top, it's been a very funneled passing game. The Patriots have struggled with tight ends, covering tight ends. And, if they're going to take away Lad McConkey, like you said there, you figure Disley's going to get more attention. If he can't go, it's all the more incentive for the Chargers to run the football.
100%. 100%. So that'll be an interesting one to watch there with Will Disley. But we can move on to the offense very quickly. Before we do that, I want to tell you guys about PrizePicks. Just mentioned PrizePicks, and you just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash all season long on America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Barth and I submit our Patriots lineup every game day, and you can join in and make your holidays bigger and brighter with PrizePicks. Again, win up to 1,000 times your money, and join now. This holiday season, PrizePicks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas. We'll do our PrizePicks lineup to end the recap on this show, or you can join in tonight. We have Seahawks Bears Thursday night football. I'm in the fantasy championship. I need some big games from JSN and Keenan Allen. So if you want to root for me, put those 2 guys in your PrizePicks lineup and download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup on PrizePicks. Run your game. All right. Jump over to the Patriots offense in this one. Is there anything left at this point you really want to see of Drake May, or is this just kind of get out of these last 2 games, keep the arrow pointed up, get healthy, or is there anything specific you want to kind of see from Drake in this one?
A little better in the red zone. Obviously not a good red zone game last week against the Bills. I think that's the biggest area of focus right now for where he's at. But yeah, mainly just continue the positive momentum. Don't let up here late. Don't feel like you've accomplished all you need to accomplish. Let's see. Obviously, we know he's a competitive guy. Let's see some competitive fire from him. Finish this thing out strong.
Yeah. The red zone's a good one. They started, I think it was 6 for 6 when he took over. And then it's been kind of a disaster lately. And some of that does have to do with play calling, right? Like you saw in that Bills game, they had no issue just running these cover zeros. And then Drake had to drop snap, but then it took him a few plays, took ADP a few plays to kind of put, a rollout in there and give Drake an answer. So some of that does have to do with play calling, but you would like Drake to be a little bit better down in that area. It was kind of he remember how good he was in training camp in the red area?
Yeah, that was like the only spot. It was the first spot he was good.
Yeah. So maybe they can get back to some of that. It is a good red area defense with the Chargers, one of the league's best. Fun defense with Jesse Minter. Jesse?
Sounds right.
I think. So he could be a future head coach in this league. He's probably on one of those
Jesse Minter
head coaching lists. So they have a good defense in general, really good down there in the red zone. So that would be encouraging if he could come out, Drake, and kind of correct some of those red zone issues and put some points up. Tom mentioned, as we say every week, stop the turnovers there in the chat. Obviously a big one. That turnover worthy play rate has dropped significantly, but you still see the interception last week, the backwards pass. So cut down on turnovers, as always, is the big one. His receivers, expecting kind of status quo as last week in that rotation. I'll ask you, though, this one. Someone asked me in my mailbag this week, are you in favor Jalen Polk and Javon Baker? Would you rather just put them out there for a significant amount of snaps, say 30, 40 snaps, and just ride the ups and downs? Or are you kind of at like, these two guys are unplayable right now? Like, would you let them try to last 2 games of the year, let them work through some of these issues on the game field? Or are you like, we're trying to win this game, we need reliable guys around Drake May, right? It's that tough thing to kind of balance because you want those two guys out there. So where, if you had a preference, where would you kind of sit on that decision?
Yeah, it's a good question. Look, I think if they were just struggling, but it was a matter of like, how was the best way to put this? If they were doing the right things in the right spots and just the production wasn't there, I'd let him play it out. I think they've talked about Javon Baker in practice, still not being where he needs to be, doing what he needs to do consistently enough. And the fact that Polk's now playing less than him makes me think maybe he's in that category as well. You can't put them out there if it's going to be detrimental to Drake May. You can't do it. So yeah, I'd like to see them play more. I think that'd be great in a perfect world, but it's tough to justify when you're trying to make sure Drake gets the development he needs here in these final few games.
Yeah. It's a tough thing you kind of have to balance, especially for like this draft and develop team they want to be, right? Like you got to kind of work through some of those, but if it's impacting other players, especially your number 3 overall rookie quarterback who's the face of the franchise, like, is it worth the risk? And the other thing, like, they kind of factor in there is like Kayshon Boutte before, he had a good game last week, but he was kind of up and down, not finishing some of his routes. Feels like Kendrick Bourne every week has to apologize or take accountability for running a route wrong. But those two guys are at least producing while they have some mistakes. So that's probably why they're leaning more of those guys and not just riding through the mistakes of the young guys, because there are mistakes and then the production isn't there as well to kind of match that. So, I would still expect it kind of to look how we've seen with Boutte being the big guy, Bourne and Pop in the mix, and then just a handful of snaps for Polk and Javon Baker there. But we also could see a change on the offensive line. Ben Brown is in concussion protocol. He has been all week. Wasn't officially ruled out today, so I guess they're leaving the door a little bit open, but it looks like, and the expectation is that Cole Strange will finally start at center. First career start at center, first action this year since coming back off the PUP list. So are you expecting anything from Cole Strange, or what do you think this is going to look like with him at center?
I mean, I thought it was interesting. Gerard Mayo said Cole Strange and Lacita Smith this morning. That kind of tells me that I don't know how long of a leash Cole Strange has. I don't know what to expect. He's never played this. He didn't play this position in college. Never mind an NFL game. And he hasn't had a ton of time to practice. I know he's been back now for over a month, but these are late season NFL practices. They're mostly walkthroughs. So he's not really drilling the fundamentals of the position. So my expectations aren't high. That's not me saying I think he'll do a bad job. I just, between the injury he's coming back from and changing positions, he's in a tough spot. And it's hard to say, yeah, I think he'll do this. I think he'll do that. It's a unique spot.
I think he's only had three max padded practices, right? So for an offensive lineman that we said in years past when he was playing, one of the issues was dealing with physicality. Now to come back from a serious knee injury, have like 2 or 3 padded practices under your belt, who knows how at a position you've never played before, like, yeah, maybe that leash could be pretty short. I'll be interested to see the snaps too. In game, you're making checks, like you have everything going on around you, and now like let's see the snaps. How did the snaps look? And that's something that's kind of fell off for Ben Brown the last 2 weeks. Again, we jinxed him. We'll take accountability for that, but just see how those snaps look. That will be interesting. And then outside of that, I don't think doesn't look like Caden Wallace. Maybe they activate him. When's the deadline for him? Next Monday? I think Monday, right?
When did they activate him during the bye week?
Yeah. So it was a Monday. I know he came back.
Yeah, so and he has a deadline because I feel like we would have said at the time they have till the end of the season. So yeah, I think it's Monday.
It's Monday. So maybe he gets activated. They still have a roster spot, but it doesn't look like he's going to draw the start at right tackle, even after a bad game from Trey Jacobs last week. So same O-line except Cole Strange. Probably going to draw in there for Ben Brown, who again is out with or not out officially yet, but questionable with a concussion. The only other thing I had on offense for you, who's playing running back, or what is the running back split going to look like after another Ramondre Stevenson fumble? Are we getting more Antonio Gibson, or what's going to go on in that room?
I wouldn't be surprised if Gibson starts. I know some people want to see Stevenson sit outright. I don't think that's going to happen. Frankly, you're putting Antonio Gibson in a bad spot if you do that, because running backs just can't play that much in the modern NFL. And even with his fumble trouble, Stevenson's still a much better spell option than JaMychal Hasty, a banged up JaMychal Hasty or Terrell Jennings. So I think you still see Stevenson. I think it's probably a smaller role, 30-35%. With Antonio Gibson as the lead back, but I would start Gibson. I've seen people say this. There has to be some kind of repercussion for all the fumbles, and they don't have the roster to bench him outright. So I think not starting him and cutting into his playing time is the way to do it.
Yeah. I'd also still like to see a little Terrell Jennings. He still intrigues me a little bit. And, that's something we've talked about. Do they have to draft a late round running back? And not that, 5 to 10 carries of Terrell Jennings late in the year is going to impact your future plans at the position, but it would still just be encouraging to see him because he was impressive in training camp in the preseason. He only got 1 game of action, only like 2 or 3 carries back in Drake's first start, I believe, but I'm still kind of intrigued by him. So maybe seeing a little bit more of him, these Ramondre fumbles could open the door.
If they are going to really cut into Stevenson's playing time, I would go with Jennings over Hasty.
Yeah. Definitely, because that's more, you have Gibson as your, that speed, change of pace back, but Jennings is more of that downhill, kind of like Stevenson, so that's more of the skill set. So maybe a little bit more of that would be encouraging. But anything else on the offensive side of the football? I don't think there's much more, right?
I'm just kind of interested here if they're really serious about like giving the kids more reps. I know Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper have been like their 2 most reliable pass catchers. I would be curious to see a little bit more from Jaheim Bell and just see what he can do. I don't even know in what sense because he can do so many things, but getting him a little more involved in the offense could be interesting.
I'm still waiting for them. He plays fullback. I'm still waiting for them to play action and hit him off it up the field.
Yeah, something like that.
We need that once. Like even just take the shot once. We need that, but they haven't pulled that out yet. But what Van Pelt said today, they use like 80% of their playbook. So maybe that's in that last 20% that could get debuted over these last 2 weeks. So we'll kind of see with that. But that is offense side of the football. Anything special teams you are looking out for? Again, no Marcus Jones. Looks like Alex Erickson is going to be back activated to handle return duties. But anything special teams, I think it's going to be a little rainy, windy too. So anything special teams wise you're looking for at Gillette?
It is supposed to be a little rainy. Joey Sly is still kicking for a job. And the Alex Erickson thing interests me too. He was a good returner. I mean, it's just 4 or 5 years ago now, but he was a good returner. Can he give you something?
Yep. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Joey Sly kind of still the big one. Didn't get any field goals last week, so we'll see if he gets a chance this week. So let's wrap up this Patriots Chargers preview with, of course, our Prize Picks lineup of the week. Let me pull Prize Picks up on my phone right now. Head over to Patriots. Anyone you are specifically having in mind for thinking they're going to have a good game in this one as I do that?
Well, you had Ladd McConkey. I think he's the big one you look at. And maybe, I don't know, maybe they don't know the Patriots are making the running back switch yet. Maybe we get some good value here on Antonio Gibson.
Let's see the Chargers. Justin Herbert. Ladd McConkey is 73.5 receiving yards. It's a good amount of yards.
The question is, and I said I don't think that they are going to put Christian Gonzalez on him. He's not getting 73 yards if they do. Do we believe it's John Jones? Do we believe it's Christian?
Is he going to get 70? Is he going to get 73 with John Jones the way he played against Shakir last week?
That's true. All right.
But they also have
that's just such a high number.
I know. They also have 6.5 receptions or a touchdown if you think he's going to score.
Touchdown might not be a bad one.
All right,
because they'll probably look to him in the red zone. Yep.
That's a demon too, so we can start off like getting a little wild. I would like to put like J.K. Dobbins yards on here, but he is questionable still, so we're not good. They have him for touchdown too. If we want to go 2 Chargers touchdown scorers, that could be a little risky, but
he's questionable. So let's wait on him.
All right.
Do they have Gibson?
Let's go over to the Patriots. Antonio Gibson first up, 29.5 rush yards.
Oh, let's hammer that more. He can get 29.5 in one carry.
Yeah, seriously. It was 7.5 rush attempts, 8.5 receiving yards, 29.5 rush yards, 2.5 receptions. So I like the yards.
I like the yards and the carries.
Yeah. I like the yards. We'll throw the yards in there. Excuse me. Austin Hooper, 27.5 receiving yards. Pop Douglas, 32.5 receiving yards, 4.5 receptions. We usually throw a Drake May in there. They have 248.5 total yards, 28.5 rush yards, 216.5 pass yards, and then a rush touchdown or pass touchdown if you like either of those.
I like the 216 yards. I don't hate the run. You think they'll design run for him again, or was that Van Pelt just shutting everybody up?
It might have been him shutting everyone up. I
don't
like
hate 216 pass yards though. Like I know this Chargers defense is highly ranked, but I mean, and granted with better wide receivers, but Baker tore him up. Like they can get got.
Yeah, Burrow tore him up, and I know it's Burrow, but Burrow tore him up.
Yeah.
So we'll throw Drake in there. Hunter Henry, 43.5 receiving yards. Kayshon Boutte, 38.5 receiving yards.
I feel like Henry's been good for 50 a game.
All right, you want to throw Henry in there?
Yeah.
More than 43.5 receiving yards. They have Joey Sly, more than 1.5 field goals made. Could be kind of risky, though, in the weather.
Yeah, I don't love that one.
So we did Gibson. Ramondre is 46.5 receiving yards or 11.5 rush attempts. Do you think he'll hit 12 carries?
Wait, Ramondre 46.5 receiving yards?
Rushing yards. Did I say receiving yards?
Okay. Yeah. I might go less on both of those.
Pick one because we need our random game of the week after.
How many carries was it?
11.5. So if he would hit 12 carries.
It's going to be nasty. It might be something where like Gibson gets 20, he gets 12. The yards was
46.5.
Let's go less there.
All right. I was trying to look up how many carries did he have. I know they put him in back after he fumbled last week, but how many carries did he have last week? Ramondre Stevenson.
I think he had 11.
He had 12. So he
12,
was
okay.
right on the number. So we'll go yards. Let's go yards.
All right.
Less than 46 and a half rush yards. Okay, so those are 5. Do we have our random game of the week? Are we thinking about something?
So does it have to be Saturday or can we do a Sunday game?
We can do Sunday.
All right. And once again, the Jaguars. It is Jaguars Titans. That's about as sicko as you're going to get.
Big draft implications on that one.
Major draft implications. Let's hear Mac Jones numbers.
Mac Jones. I think we've got every Mac Jones one wrong this year. So,
well, we've been taking less on all of them. I think so that shows us.
Oh, you want to see a sicko square right here?
What?
Mac Jones plus Mason Rudolph, 437.5 combined pass yards.
Oh, 437. Hang on. That's like 210 a person. 437 over 2.
220.
218. Oh, under. Less. Yes.
All right. That's
a good find, Brian.
That's a sicko square right there to play on PrizePicks. Yeah. All right. So we have our full 6-player lineup right here. Ladd McConkey, more than half a rush or receiving touchdown, so he's going to find the end zone. We all know that's going to happen. Antonio Gibson, more than 29.5 rush yards. Drake May, more than 216.5 pass yards. He'll be throwing to Hunter Henry, who's going to have more than 43.5 receiving yards. Ramondre Stevenson, less than 46.5 rush yards. And then Mac Jones plus Mason Rudolph, less than 437.5 combined pass yards to bring us home on Sunday in the 1 o'clock window. Again, that is on PrizePicks. Use code CLNS and new users. Once you play $5, you can play $5 on that lineup and take home $125 if it wins. Then once you play $5, you get $50 instantly. Throw it right back on that lineup. $1,250 payout if you win, because we do have the 25-time multiplier. Again, we also have our lineup protection. So if we get 5 out of 6 correct, you get your money back on PrizePicks. Again, use code CLNS. We'll make sure to tweet out that lineup before kickoff on Saturday, so you guys can play along with us there. And this is it. This is going to be the one. The sicko square has to hit. I mean, that has to bring us home.
I feel good about that one.
That one that has to bring us home on Saturday to really cap this one off. So, all right, that's our Patriots Chargers at Patriots preview. Anything else on your mind for that game, or anything else just on your mind in general with football at all?
Pitt, if you've noticed, I've been distracted. Pitt Toledo in the Game Above Sports Bowl just set a record. They are starting the 6th overtime.
6 overtime.
6, and there was a whole, so in the 4th overtime, and it's the dueling 2-point conversions, Pitt went for it. It looked like Toledo got a stop. All their players stormed the field. They started celebrating. Nope. Holding, defense, re-rack it. They run QB power. Quarterback gets called short. Storm the field, everything. Nope, stop, wait, review. It's like a 10-minute review. He got in. So then they went again, and now they're in the 6th overtime. Everybody should, as soon as this show ends, turn that game on.
All right. We'll get out of here so people can watch. We also had the, the Hawaii.
That was a great game, too.
5 overtime? Or did that hit 6? 5, right?
5, because that was the record for a bowl game, and that stood for all of, 2 days?
2. Yeah, that was Christmas Eve, because it was like the only game on Christmas Eve, which some league needs to take over. I'm surprised no one's taken over Christmas Eve, although the NFL will probably do it eventually. You were saying they're trying to get to 7 days a week, right? The NFL?
I think so. I do. And they now know the formula to get teams to play on Wednesdays. They did this thing with like the remix schedule where all 4 teams played on Saturday, then the same 4 teams flipped the schedule, played on Wednesday. You could totally do the same thing with a
Tuesday would be tough. I don't know how they would.
No, because you could do Thursday.
like 2 Thursday games, and then they play Tuesday or.
Well, because Thursday to Tuesday would be the same thing as Sunday to Thursday, right?
Yeah.
So you'd have a team. Tuesday would technically Wednesday's the start of the next week, so you would have to bump the start of the week up to Tuesday. But yeah, that's how you would do Tuesday. And then to give those teams extra time off, you would have them play Monday the next week. But they want to be, I think they want to be 7 days a week. Maybe not every week, but I think more than just holidays.
They'll definitely find a way to do it. Like you could see the promo, like 7 days of football, right? Like football every day or something.
Yeah.
They'll find a way to do it. The NFL, and after they'll probably do it on like Christmas or something, like Christmas week. Because did you hear LeBron after the Lakers game?
Oh yeah, we're getting Bills Lions, we're getting Ravens Chiefs. Like
we're getting the best
Christmas
the NFL. We're getting the best Roger Goodell has to offer. Well, he already put it on Netflix, so you couldn't even switch back and forth if you were on one TV from football to the basketball games. You had to leave the whole Netflix app. Let's see, what day is Christmas?
By the way, Toledo actually won for real this time, 6 overtimes.
Okay. Christmas is on a Thursday next year, so
they're naturally going to have they'll have the 3-game slate. They'll have a 1, a noon or a 1. They'll have a 4, and then they'll have just Thursday. All 3 won't be on Netflix. Thursday Night Football, I think, will stay on Amazon. Maybe didn't Amazon have the Black Friday game?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if they maybe to package it, because I'd imagine they're going to do the Black Friday game again. I wonder if to package it, they say, okay, Netflix, we're going to give you Black Friday, and then Amazon has all of Christmas. I wonder if they do it like that. If not, it's 2 streaming services on the same. I don't think we've had that. We've had like network to streaming on the same day, but I don't think we've had one streaming service to another streaming service on the same day. And we shouldn't, but it's going to happen.
And here someone wants to take over Christmas Eve. We have the path for them doing it on Wednesday now.
No, right? Let's not touch the Hawaii Bowl.
True. The Hawaii Bowl deserves its own
The Hawaii
day.
Bowl is a special thing.
No one in the Hawaii Bowl smack talked the NFL after their game like LeBron James. So Roger Goodell hopefully is
what are you talking? The entire Hawaii Bowl was smack talking the NFL. Why can't your product be this good?
Fair. But no, they didn't say it publicly after like LeBron James decided to do. So maybe Roger Goodell will let them have their day still and let us watch the Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve. But all right, we will wrap it up there. One last thing before I let everyone go. If you guys want to go to Chargers at Patriots this Saturday, make sure you guys head over to the Game Time app. They have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier because they filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Saturday, 1 o'clock, Chargers at Patriots. Cheapest get-in right now on the Game Time app is $47, or you can move down right by the visitor tunnel. So on the Patriots sideline, $84. Literally like second row, like behind the Optum Fieldhouse. Right to your right is the visitor tunnel, so you can watch them run out, get Ladd McConkey's autograph, tell him you wish he was a Patriot. So $84, you can move down, $63 in the 200 levels. So tons of good prices on Game Time. Head to them for their lowest prices guaranteed and other in-app features such as seat views, all-in pricing, and of course Game Time Picks, which makes it even easier to save more on your sports, or if you're looking for other concerts, comedy, theater, any other tickets you are looking for, and take the guesswork out of buying those tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. If you will, again, going Chargers at Patriots on Saturday, 1 o'clock. Head to the bars after. You have Sunday football on your couch. You can go out for a drink after and head to Game Time to make sure to get your tickets. So we will wrap it up there. We'll be back next week to break this one down and review it. In the meantime, you can follow Barth on Twitter at RealAlexBarth. Head over to 985thesportshub.com to read his Patriots coverage there. You're on the radio more this week too, right? Do you have a schedule?
I will be on tomorrow morning, 10 to 2 with Phil Perry. I will be on. Then Sunday morning, we'll have Sports Up Sunday kickoff. It's more of a post game this time around than a pregame with the Patriots playing Saturday. And then on Monday morning, 6 to 10 a.m., which means you're getting another one of these shows for me after 4 a.m. wake up. And then I am on Tuesday, Celtics halftime post game. And then we'll do about an hour after that, 7 o'clock on New Year's Eve. And then I am on New Year's Day, 2 to 6 during the playoff game. So that should be fun.
So there's a couple times you can listen to Barth in the next couple weeks. You can find them if you want his take. So 985thesportshub.com, 985. And then I am Brian Hines on Twitter. If you want to follow me, head over to patspulpit.com for our Patriots coverage over there as well. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in with us tonight. Hope you had a wonderful holidays. Have a good weekend. Enjoy all the football, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye. All right. I'll see you Saturday.